Back at Toyota Denton again. Still got the same car. These guys need to sell this car, and I got some people looking at it, so I got to hurry up right here. So we got PK52, the Saturday morning meeting, the third session on safety on the 2016 Prius. We're going to get into the next week. We're going to start talking about TSS and TSSP. Let's finish up with Star Safety System. Smart Stop. Smart Stop is really not using the brakes or the steering of the car. What happens if you hammer the brakes and hammer the accelerator at the same time? If your foot is on both pedals, the computer says, hey, that's not supposed to happen, so it decelerates or starves the throttle. So there's your Smart Stop in a real easy explanation. Vehicle stability control is probably my favorite of the Star Safety System. Anything can happen when you're driving. If you go into a turn too hot and you're turning the wheel to the left and the car goes straight, I can't think of a situation where you're thinking that's a good thing. You're on an icy road and all of a sudden the rear end of the car passes the front end of the car. You can't be sitting there going, meant to do that. So how does the car know when all this is about to happen? We started out years ago with VSC, Vehicle Stability Control. Now we have enhanced Vehicle Stability Control. That is Vehicle Stability Control that can anticipate a situation. I'm driving down the highway, there's an exit. Let's say I'm exiting to the right. The exit's 35 miles an hour, I'm running 75 miles an hour. As soon as I turn the car, the wheel speed sensor, along with the throttle position sensor, and you know what? We're right here. Sometimes that happens. Just look at the customer and say, apologize, had too many words coming out at once, and we back it up. Yep. And here we go again. The wheel position sensor says I want to go over here. The wheel RPM sensors are saying, hey, you're going too fast, and the throttle position sensor says, what are you doing? Easy. And so the computer knows at that time that the math doesn't work. So it starts to starve the throttle. Remember the ETCSI, Electronic Throttle Control System with Intelligence? It reduces the airflow. So that even though you're accelerating with your right foot, the throttle is whoa, and it's slowing the car down. Maybe slow enough that you can make the turn. If not, then the ABS starts to work. And it knows where you want to go. You have pointed the steering wheel right there, and that's where the computer says you want to go. So the brakes start to work. And I use analogies like a shopping cart. If you're coming down a parking lot and you jump on the back and you put your foot on the right tire or right rear wheel of the shopping cart, it's going to turn to the slowing wheel. A canoe, you put a paddle on the left side, boom, you're going left. And the brakes on the car utilize that braking sequence to hook you dead into the middle of where you went to go. So here's the deal. My 16-year-old's driving a car. They're not paying attention. Of course they're not texting. They're not looking away from the road or trying to get a radio station on Pandora. They're really paying attention, okay? You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden they got into a situation where the car is starting to push or go straight. The computer saves their life. I mean, end of story. The computer makes them a better driver, and in that one situation, the computer takes over and they make the turn. And maybe that's lesson learned, because the computer talks to you, goes beep, 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 what are you doing? The last thing is when maybe it's not your fault. You're driving down the road, you hit some black ice, and the rear of the car starts to spin. I mean, it just starts to pass the front end. Now that's oversteer. And the problem with that is, how do I control the car? I'm not a race car driver. Most people will turn the wheel the wrong way and increase the spin. You're supposed to turn into the spin to try to correct it. But if you overcorrect, then you dump the car the other way. The computer knows that's where I'm going. The rear end's starting to kick out. And so what it does is it uses a sequence of the brakes to move the car back in position to make the turn. So again, no collision, no body work, no damage, nobody's hurt. So these technologies aren't fail-proof, but they're designed to make every driver driving a Toyota a better driver. What can we do to go to the next level? We can make the car think about its surroundings. So next week, we're going to go into TSS and TSSP.